What is up, Keep Pounding Nation? We are back today with a live stream after a good period of time. I apologize about the delay, but I wanted to make sure we got all the free agency moves in and all the resignings in before I did this live stream. I've also been collecting information about the mock drafts and possible moves that we could make in the draft as far as trading up or down. Uh, right now, based on what we picked up in re-signing in free agency, it's looking like we're projected to go after an offensive lineman first round. Now, I would like to see us go after a corner in the second and early third round. And I'll tell you why. It worked before, it can work again. Last two drafts we did that. We ended up with Bradbury, we ended up with Dante Jackson, and we ended up really, really solid at starting corners. Now we need depth. So, y'all saw all of this, all of the signings, all of the ones that we've already covered in the previous live stream. These are the ones I have not put on live stream yet. I was told that we tendered Brian Cox Jr. Correct me if I'm wrong on this. I think I know what that means, but I'm not entirely sure. There's a lot of terms in the off season that I don't fully understand just yet. I'm still learning this stuff, so bear with me. Contracts and all the lingo are not really my strong suit, but um, we did put a tender on Brian Cox Jr. and I think someone, if I remember, someone tried to explain that to me and said that if other teams can pick him up, but it would cost them a draft pick to do so. Um, I believe that's what that means. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below or in the comments in the live stream, but I think that's correct. That's how it was explained to me anyway. Also, a redaction before I get into the signings for March. But I said in a previous stream that Mike Adams was cut. He was not. His contract ran out, and the team decided not to re-sign him. So, that being said, I apologize for that. And someone actually corrected me on that on the main Panthers page. So, thank you very much to the two or three people that did. Shout out to you. You guys are awesome. And I have nothing but love for the Panthers family. Uh, I do not mind being corrected when I'm wrong. No issue with that at all. You know, um, I love all you guys and I appreciate it. All right, so let's go down the list. Colin Jones, 2-year deal, re-signing. Colin Jones. Here's the thing. Um, I I I like him. A lot of people don't. There's a lot of mixed reactions on that one. Um, I never did get a really solid answer on why people don't like him, except for two people that, excuse me, um, that told me he had trouble with coverage issues and sometimes tackling. Uh, I would agree with that. He does struggle with that. He's not the best at it. He's more of, uh, I don't know. I think he's a really solid corner, but he's developing. You know what I mean? He's our best special teams man, but he needs a lot of work at corner. Uh, so then we go on to Taylor Heineke or Haneke. Excellent, excellent 1 year deal re-signing. I'm very very pleased with that. Um, I thought Taylor did really well. I think uh, as I've said before, Kyle Allen pretty much showed me that he deserves to be in the second spot, and then Taylor Heineke in the third. Um, I would like to see Gilbert fight for that third spot. As I said that before, and I'll say it again because I believe that that's what should happen. I think we've got four solid quarterbacks. If Cam comes back healthy, we're sitting pretty at quarterback. Um, I wouldn't say it's fantastic at quarterback, but these guys are backups, right? And Cam's hurt because of the offensive line. So yeah, we're doing the best we can with the money we have. Is the take I'm getting here, and so far solid offseason. I I have to really really applaud Marty Hurning on this offseason. Marty's done such a good job with. I think it started as like what 16 million, and he's kind of spread it around. He's gotten some really solid deals. You know, people have taken some pay cuts. Out of this that they could have gotten more money out of these contracts for the good of the team. In particular, Daryl Williams, he was re-signed to a 1 year deal, which I'm very pleased with as well. That's exactly what I suggested um, because of his injuries. I think he's a really solid left tackle when he's healthy. When he's healthy, folks, he's solid. And we need that veteran presence on the line. Speaking of veteran presence on the offensive line, here's the best free agent signing I've seen out of this team all offseason so far. Matt Paradis. He used to be with the Denver Broncos team that played against us in the Super Bowl and won. Now, here's the thing. He can also play guard, which is really, really a great thing. Guard is our other weakness, um, other than left tackle. So that's really reassuring. But I think we're probably going to go left tackle in the draft or a guard. We'll see. We'll see how that shakes out. But the picture's starting to get a little bit clearer with all these re-signings and free agency signings. And Matt Paradis got a 3 year deal, which is awesome. Awesome move, Marty. Can't praise you enough for that one. You know, we have been desperately needing help on the line, and they are committed. They just showed they are committed by signing him. Very pleased. Um, Matt Khalil was released, as many of you know. That freed up about, what was it, 2 million in cap space, something like that. But still, we had to pay him some money in debt contract money, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Y'all correct me if on that one if I'm wrong in the comments below. Um, then you got Bruce Irvin that we just signed this week to a 1 year deal. He's a linebacker and a defensive end, which we need both. That was a really solid pickup there. Uh, for those of you that are not familiar with him, he is 6'3", 250 pounds, 43.5 sacks, 266 tackles, 15 forced fumbles, 11 passes defended, and 3 interceptions so far. Those are the numbers that came straight off of ESPN stats, and I like to check their numbers, and I like to check everybody else's numbers just to see, Um, but those numbers look good. That's what we need. Um, you got Elijah Hood with a 1 year deal. I'm happy with that. I think I saw enough of him in training camp to say that I think that 1 year deal is warranted, and we'll see what he does. We'll see how things shake out. But it's a depth move. It's 100% a depth move. People were talking about how, oh, we need a backup for Christian McCaffrey. Oh, we need this or that, in management. I think there was that one, one or two interviews where they said that they were looking for somebody with Christian McCaffrey's abilities and skill set in the draft this year. Uh, Now the jury is out on whether they found one, but I would say there's probably two or three out there with his skill set. You know, it's like with quarterbacks, with the new styles of quarterbacks that you have, like Watson and Cam Newton and Russell Wilson type. You know, now they're starting to see that by the Christian McCaffrey bar that you can find running backs and maybe even wide receivers that can be multi-tool. You know, more so than they used to be. So that would be great. I would love to see that happen. But I don't think that we should trade up for them you know, or necessarily trade down for them unless it becomes the necessity. Like if management really feels like they found a real pot of gold, then I have no problem with them drafting one. But don't trade up or trade down for it. Don't. There's no reason you to game the system. And I forget the term they call it, but I'll just say game the system. That covers it pretty well on both ends. But people were talking about our draft all over ESPN. They're talking about mock drafts all over ESPN. They're talking about them on Sports Nation. They're talking about them everywhere. You know, who's going to go where? This is going to be a crazy, crazy draft. If free agency has taught us anything, this year. It's going to teach us that this draft is going to go pretty much not the way we expect it to. So I I suggest management be aware, keep your eyes and ears peeled, because anything can happen, as we've seen in free agency here. And it's going to show up in the second free agency period too. You know, there are all kinds of trade deals, all kinds of moves, all kinds of signings that you didn't that nobody expected, especially the Odell Beckham trade. Nobody expected that one. So I mean, you just can't account for this stuff. And honestly, I think the Jets pretty much threw a wrench into the whole system when they oversigned one of their players. Many of y'all know who it was, but simply stated, free agency was crazy this year. It absolutely was. But I think we got the best deals for our needs in this offseason based on what our needs were. We still have a few left. We still have some draft positions to fill depth needs. Um, but I think we can do it. We will have the team that we need. Um, Now, whether that team can go out there and get enough wins to get into the playoffs, that's another matter. That we'll discuss later on in the year. But, yeah, first look at that schedule does not look pretty. You got the Rams, who were NFC champions last year, on our schedule. You got Seattle, who is always dangerous, on our schedule. Houston and Indy on the road. Both of them are hot right now. They're red hot. Um, you got the Titans fighting for a wild card spot at like 8-8 or 9-8, something like that, or 9-6, I think, something like that. They're right around that middle range, right around the wild card spot. But they've been in the playoff hunt for the past 2 years. We cannot sleep on them. Obviously, you can't sleep on Green Bay, or they'll make you pay. Aaron Rodgers, you can't sleep on Aaron Rodgers. If we go into that Green Bay game in Lambeau Field, which we have a terrible record at Lambeau Field, by the way, if we go in there unprepared, or seriously with a bunch of people on the IR, we're going to be in trouble. We're going to be in serious trouble because Green Bay is rebuilding. It may not look like it right now, but they are rebuilding. They're putting younger players on that team right now. Currently, they're working on their line, but I believe one of their corners went to the West Coast, to a West Coast team. I forget who it was, but yeah, I think it was Oakland. Anyway, my point being, we cannot sleep on them either. You got Jacksonville. Everybody thinks, oh, Jacksonville is one and done. Nope. Mm-mm. They're rebuilding again. They'll be back. Tom Coughlin teams will always be back in the mix. Now, whether they get wild card or not depends on the other teams in the AFC. But we cannot sleep on them either. If y'all remember, they had a top 10 defense when we played them last. That's not something we want to deal with this year. Not when we're trying to rebuild too. And we lost at least, 4 or 5 of our veterans? Team captains. So, I think 4 is the accurate number of how many veterans we just lost. But, yeah, it's scary business. This schedule does not look pretty. And then you have to account for the usual split with Atlanta and New Orleans. So, I mean, first look, 8 wins. I'm saying 8 right now. It could be 9 if we're lucky. Because it'll all depend on what these teams do in the offseason, what they draft, what the second free agency period yields, and what their rosters look like after camp. So after camp, you'll have a full idea of what we're dealing with and what we're dealing with in Charlotte. So, um, let's. I got one more subject to discuss here. Um, a couple of our moves were praised by Sports Nation and ESPN. More specifically, George Schwartz from SB Nation says Paradis will be an experienced boon for the Panthers. He didn't say it in that exact way, but he brings experience to the line. That's what he meant. Uh, he brings a veteran presence, and I think that's going to be big for us in the future. And he's also listed as one of the best 6 moves in free agency, according to Geoff Schwartz. So, normally I don't pay much attention to these big names and suits and ties, at ESPN and Sports Nation, but in this particular case, they were praising us. Uh, Bill Barnwell from ESPN graded Paradis signing a B plus, and Daryl Williams an A. There you go. When you finally got the attention of ESPN and Sports Nation, you know you're doing something right. We've been asking for this team to fix the line for several years now, and finally they're getting around to it. Hallelujah. That's what I'm saying right now. It's going to be a rough year coming up, but hopefully we'll be able to get this back in gear and hopefully be able to make the playoffs. But I want to say thank you to all the likes, to all the subs, to all the people that stuck around, throughout all this waiting period between live streams and videos. I don't upload very much during the off season, except when I see something that we need to throw on the channel, such as the free agency period. There will be one more live stream before the draft officially starts in April, outlining what I think, going down the list of who I think is going to be on our draft board. According to people that I've discussed this with, particularly in the first 3 rounds, we'll see how that shakes out. I'm still gathering information right now. When I have it for you, I will be able to put out that live stream. But until then, stick around, be patient, and that draft is coming around the corner, folks. It's coming. We're finally rebuilding this team to where it should be. We have Marty to thank. So, special shout out to Kathy. She provides me with a lot of this information on chat, on Snapchat, as well as Facebook. So thank you for that. Shout out to Damien. Uh, and those two have been consistently giving me information. And Jake, uh, in our fan base, has been giving me information on draft stuff, and certain players. So thank you for that. So there's your shout outs on this live stream. I appreciate everything you guys are giving me. Keep feeding me info. Love you guys. And I hope to see you guys in the next live stream. That's about the draft coming up. Thank you guys for all the love on this channel. Thank you guys for sticking it out with us. We're going to hopefully get a successful offseason here and a successful 2019 year with the Panthers as it has begun. Please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that bell if you are new for more Keep Pounding content, specifically Carolina Panthers content, and my opinions on that content. You're not guaranteed to get notifications because YouTube is YouTube, but if you guys hit that like button, you have more of a chance of getting those notifications than you would if you did not. So, I think that about covers it. Thank you guys so much for watching this live stream. Have a wonderful day / night / whenever you're watching this live stream. And I will see you guys soon. And always remember, we are a family. Represent. And always